Hi, everybody. It's Ernesto, licensed marriage and family therapist and creator of FYLMIT.com. I love interviewing other mental health professionals out there that are doing some really fun and unique things. And today I've got Jessica. Jessica, what's up?
What's up? So good to be here.
Yeah, so you got a lot to talk about. So, okay, first of all, go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody and your program, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay, awesome. So my name is Jessica Improta. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and a coach. And 60 days now ago, I founded OMLab, which is one part virtual meditation studio. It's live, so live online classes. And then the other part is just coaching really stressed out, ambitious people through their conversations about what they can accomplish in their lives and, you know, the paradigms that we find ourselves trapped in. So on top of that, I'm building some other courses and programs.
You know, I'm really fascinated with what you're going to be, what we're going to be talking about today. First of all, you're taking the whole meditation thing on the online world, which is so, to me, that's incredibly brilliant because I would like to be in my home and doing this. Right? But before we go into the brilliance of this approach, why meditation and how did you get into it?
Okay, that's a great question. So I am one of those people who my whole life I've struggled with anxiety. I've had periods in my life where I've struggled with depression. And, you know, I've been through the whole gamut of, you know, periods in my life, like used different modalities for healing, you know, therapy, coaching, personal development workshops. Like I love all of it,
Yeah,
you know?
right.
And mindfulness was first introduced to me in its formal way in grad school, which is like 10 years ago now. And I went through my internship and, you know, I learned a lot about mindfulness and, you know, some meetings were started with mindful practices and I just didn't get it. I just wasn't there yet. I was like, this is just so slow. And I don't, you know, why does everyone talk in these breathy voices? And, you know, like I need like some punch. I need to feel like I'm getting something done, you know?
Yeah.
And so I really didn't get it for some time. And then I think like many people do who start to incorporate a spiritual practice, which of course meditation doesn't have to be something that you come at from a spiritual perspective. But, you know, my mom passed away 3 years ago. And it was shortly after that I went to Bali. I met a healer there. And he just distilled down the simplicity of it. You know, I think that in the West, we've gotten really caught up in all this science about it. And, you know, like there's a million articles and there's a million courses you can take. And really at the end of the day, it's about going inside and knowing yourself and pausing and connecting to who you are underneath all the noise, underneath all the thoughts. So it was really for me just a simple, like something just fell into place and it just made sense to me. And so from that point on, I pretty much have meditated every single day. And it was something that for me personally was just the icing on the cake of other things that I had done in the past as a source of healing. And, you know, when I started to take a look at people in the world, and it's become such like this public consciousness about meditation, right? Like you can't throw a rock without hitting a piece of paper with an article on it. You know, everybody knows about meditation,
yeah,
and nobody's doing it, or a lot of people aren't doing it regularly. So, you know, I just started to like ask some questions about that. But, you know, from a personal place and just from what I've seen it provide, I think it really helps people tap into a lot of the things that, you know, that a lot of the same principles that you do in the therapeutic setting, you know, how your thoughts affect your feelings. And, you know, from a cognitive standpoint, it's just framed in a different way.
Wow. That's just a really awesome way to kind of simplify, because a lot of people struggle with it, just like with me. You know, I've been slowly getting into it. I know that it doesn't appear like it on my social media posts and, you know, Ernesto's here, Ernesto's there, but
well, hey, wait, hold on a sec. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What does meditation look like? Like, what is your preconceived notion of what it looks like?
I have come to understand from my perspective that my brain cannot slow down. It's hard for me to slow down, and I find myself being very much introspective. So when I am meditating, I'm pausing and I'm thinking, and I'm being aware of not only my surroundings, but aware of my blessings, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I'm just inspired to talk about a certain part of me that I've connected with maybe about 2.5 years ago. And, you know, I didn't know that you lost your mother. And part of my story is I lost my mother about 2.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I believe that I not only became inspired, but very pretty much connected. So I think it's being connected to that, Jessica, about just pausing and resting in that space.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, we live in this world where it's like go, 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 you know, and we think that there's always something on the other end of that going, you know, and it's proving something. It's, you know, whatever it is that drives us that way. But there is so much value in pausing, and there is so much value in stopping to really know yourself and to check in and to find out what's really important to me. And also, those things may be important to me, but how do I stop myself from having the things that I want? You know, what are the conversations? What are the limiting beliefs? What are the, you know, the fears and the things that come up that tell you I'm not that person? Well, you're not that person because you have a conversation that's going on and on and on telling you. But when those conversations slow down and you go, wait a second, I'm sitting here and there's literally nothing happening except I'm sitting here, but I'm making up this whole world in my brain, who I am and what I can be and what's possible and who I hate and all my judgments. And, you know, it's like we create this, like, this huge plume of self-smoke, you know, of who we are. And so, you know, I see meditation as like, it's a tool, you know. I mean, my business is that it's a tool in what I want to create and what I'm doing to really help people to understand who they are and what they want to create in the world, you know, what's important to them. It's just a tool. It's not, you know, it's not, I don't have a meditation business. I have a business about being human and then seeing what's possible for yourself. You know,
Wow.
that's how you do it.
Dang, that's pretty amazing. I had no idea that you're very philosophical in this manner, but it makes a lot of sense because I think there's a lot of noise. We make up things in our mind that's just not real, you know, but at the same time, I think what we create in our mind can actually manifest in our life.
Totally. Well, there's definitely a school of thought, and I believe this, that, you know, you, wherever you're at this moment, like, you've created it. You know, and certainly everybody starts out in different places, and, you know, but how you choose to interpret something that most of the time is unconscious, you know, this is just about bringing that unconsciousness to a conscious level and saying, you know, I can sit here quietly and I can trust myself and I can trust my intuition. I can welcome all of that's here without adding to it. You know, I need to be ashamed, or I'm stupid, or regrets, or, you know, all these things. It's like, well, when you're in the present moment, there's really nothing except an access for creation, I think, you know. I mean, that's really what's there. But it, you know, it's a practice for a reason. Yeah. You know, most people give up because they're like, what, this isn't doing anything for me. And that's, again, more of like our culture of, I need to get somewhere, I need to prove something, right? I need to show off. And that's been like a little bit of a challenge for me in terms of, you know, I think I'm a driven person. I want things to look a certain way. And, you know, using that to say, like, I've developed that skill more and more of like, this is where I am. I'm exactly where I am right now. And whether it's in business, for your people who, you know, are listening, who are in business or in life, it's like, you are only exactly where you are. And anything that you add to that, you know, anything that you compound with it, in Buddhism, it's called the second arrow, right? You have like the first arrow, which is what's happening, you know, that's shot to you. And, you know, life has a lot of painful things that happen. And then the second arrow is, what do you add to that? What additional, you know, criticism, self-criticism, right, judgment do you add to it that's layering on the suffering, the stress, you know? So it's really metaphorical. And I've learned so much from it. And I constantly am finding myself using what I get from those practices in my day-to-day life. Like, it's never ending.
and you know, I what I'm hearing from you as well too, it's a lot of grounding work. It's here. It's right here. You are meant to be right here and just stay here for now until you move. Yeah.
And I think there's so much safety in now. You know, I think that, like, I still do work at UCLA. I work at the Rate Treatment Center there. And so much of the work that we do with assault victims that come in is it's grounding work, it's presence, it's mindfulness. And, you know, it's breathing into the moment, because when your mind goes back or your mind goes forward, there's painful memories in the past, or there's fear in the present, you know, for most of us, whether it's trauma or not. And so it's, you know, and I talk about this in some of the meditations I do. It's like in the present moment, you're actually safe. If you can come to the focal point, if you can come to, in Sanskrit, it's the drishti, to the focus, you know, you're really, there's nothing else, you know, there's nothing else except your pure heart, except your breath, except what's happening. And, you know, we don't live there though. We live everywhere else.
We do. You know, just earlier today, I posted on Facebook about a mind that has a lot of goals and no goals, and it's a string of everything, right? And a mind of a Pokemon Go player, you see, which is a straight line, and it's in the here and now.
Off a cliff.
Off a cliff. Right, exactly. Yikes. But my point is, I think entrepreneurs and business owners, our brains are just all over the place. Mm-hmm. And we forget, and we teach our clients to be mindful, right? But we ourselves can't be mindful of the moment and can't teach ourselves. And right now, I've been meaning to be a little bit more intentional about being mindful. And for the past 3 months, I've actually been practicing it. All my travels have caused me to pause. And all of my travels in my car and in, you know, Colorado, New York, all these other places where I can actually just pause and just be here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a muscle, right? It's like, it's a weak, flabby muscle for most of us. And it atrophies quickly because we're so used to, you know, I mean, you're familiar with neuroplasticity. It's like our ways of being, these unconscious ways that we are in the world, have been developing over, you know, 30 years or more or less. And so it's hard to start practicing new ways of being, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I know for me, it has worked wonders. And a lot of people go, how do you do it? Do you sleep at all?
I want to know. How do you do it?
And, you know, here's the thing is social media, you can portray whatever you want to portray, right? And I've managed to portray a lot of myself, but at the same time, they don't see when I'm pausing. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of times when I'm just pausing and just not on social media and just breathe, right? And be in the moment. And literally my anxiety level would decrease, and it makes me a little bit more inspired.
Yeah.
And more driven when I pause.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I was just talking about that with someone. Like, we think, and to your point earlier, that by meditating or by pausing or by even taking some deep breaths, that somehow it's going to dull us or, you know, blunt us in some way or slow us down. And it's actually the opposite. You know, it's actually like, for me, when I start getting super overwhelmed and, you know, I've got a million thoughts flying through my head, which is kind of my natural tendency. You know, it really takes me saying, okay, I can keep going in this direction, or I can stop, you know, take a few deep breaths, do some box breathing, or do something that's going to actually calm my nervous system. I can, you know, do a brain dump of everything to create a little bit of white space. And then I can consciously make a choice to move forward in the way that's going to like best serve me. But it's so counterintuitive, you know, we just think we need to like force. Let me just push.
Crank it out. Yep.
Yeah. And it's, you know, it's how many times are you in a rush to get somewhere and you like drop something and it breaks, you know? Yeah. Whereas if you had just actually taken maybe 7 extra seconds to slow down, put the thing in your bag, you know, and move forward, you wouldn't have dropped it. But it's kind of the same thing that happens, I think, in business and life.
Yeah. For me, my motto in life is busyness is not a badge of honor. And I carry that. And a busy mind is actually a paralyzed mind to me. That's what I think. And so when I clear that and have a space to just be in the present moment, I'm telling you, it feels like an adrenaline rush when I'm out there. I think that when I started being a bit more mindful and pausing, I got more creative. I got more. I started listening and hearing things that I never would be listening and and paying attention to. Like, for instance, there's a railroad track right outside of my office. And one time when I was just looking at it, I saw how creative I can take pictures of it or videos. And I actually have a video that I'm going to release in a couple of weeks all about that train track. And it's
cool.
It came out of my mindfulness practice.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think the work that you're doing is helping us to just be creative, and we don't have to put all of these things in our heads, in our life, because it paralyzes us.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And, I want people to understand and know that while we've couched this in this big mystical thing, it's actually pretty simple and it's accessible, and you don't have to lose your sense of humor, and you don't have to go, wear all white and sit in a cave somewhere, and you don't have to, even be like, take it so seriously. It's a tool. It's something that you can take it further if you want. You can really use it as a way to commune with whatever higher power you believe in, but it's not, it's been, I think it has like a little bit of a PR problem. People think it's this mystical thing, and it's like, you can just start breathing, and if thoughts come, that's okay. There's no right or wrong way. You're not getting judged, and it's completely accessible in a moment.
Yeah.
And that's like the cool thing about it.
And, I think I love that you brought this out, that a lot of us are we don't get the right information. We just, you just demystified it right there for some of my community, because I grew up thinking, yeah, I need to go to the Himalayan mountains and shave my
Join a monastery.
And
you look good with a shaved head, I think.
Well, I used to have a mullet. That was my go-to hairstyle in the 80s.
Start a new monk style.
Exactly. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking you go to the Himalayas, eat rocks, shave your head, and say ums all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what you're doing is you're saying that's Hollywood. That's what the ignorance that you have there. It's this. You can actually do this in chaos. When something is around you that's chaotic,
Mm-hmm.
you're at a dentist's office and you're feeling very anxious, you could actually practice mindfulness there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's something, I am a big proponent, just disclaimer, I'm a big proponent of like a more formal practice, because I think that when it's the same way as like if you go out on a tennis court and you play for an hour 3 times a week, that's going to probably have more benefits than going out, and just like holding a racket and hitting a ball. It's like it's the same sport, but you're not quite, so there's value in doing that, absolutely, and it is accessible and is possible at any moment. And I also think like it's such a nuanced practice that when you're in the dentist office, like there's actually things that you can do with a more developed practice where you can actually choose consciously how you respond to the pain or to the fear.
Wow.
For me, I've been playing with this more lately, like during workouts or in certain situations where there's pain involved, like rather than immediately responding and trying to make it go away, actually sitting with it and identifying it, what is happening here, almost welcoming it and saying, what is the quality of that pain? Is it throbbing? Is it aching? Before I run from it, before I escape from it. And there's such an opportunity for people to understand and to in vivo practice responding versus reacting.
In vivo, wow, in vivo practice.
My science days.
Wow, I was like in vivo. That is so true though. You kind of expose yourself and be mindful of all of those sensations.
Mm-hmm.
When I was going to my undergraduate program, I was on a volleyball team. And that was when I was first introduced to mindfulness, but it didn't really register in my mind. My coach actually made us be aware of our everything about us before a game.
Mm-hmm.
And when you take all of that anxiety and not be mindful of that anxiety and that excitement, it can actually ruin your performance. So that whole mindfulness really didn't become evident to me until during a game, I noticed my body reactions and it was really affecting me. But the more I understood it, the more I became in tune with everything about me, and my performance level actually got better. You know, there's such a correlation of that.
Yeah. And you know, the idea of mindfulness has been around for forever. I mean, it's been around for thousands of years from meditative perspective. And then, you know, like the human potential movement in the 60s and 70s and all of, you know, the Tony Robbins and personal power and things like that, like they all incorporate these ancient practices and have just kind of repurposed them over time, you know, in a different format. And so like the inner game of sports and, you know, being in the flow and things like that, those are all packaged in a different way, mindful practices, right? Like it's all a way of channeling, getting you out of the fear and getting you out of what may or may not happen, out of the anxiety, into your body, into the present moment, welcoming whatever comes, you know, and creating intention in your experience. So that's cool.
Absolutely. So you're adding another twist that I've never heard of, though.
Okay.
Which is pretty darn exciting to me, which is you're taking it on a virtual reality kind of space.
Yeah. So it's, yeah. So, I mean, there's no Pokemon Go characters or anything in it. So I hopefully, you know, there's not going to be one sitting on my shoulder during class. It's not exactly virtual
well,
reality.
Let me check it out. Yes.
I know. We'll just play a round of Pokemon Go now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm doing, just from some preliminary research from a course that I ran, you know, several months ago, it became clear to me that people talk about meditation, they want to meditate, but there's really 2 or 3 things that are barriers for that, right? There's knowing how to do it. It's kind of this daunting thing that you're going to try, and can I even sit still for, you know, 10, 20 minutes? But then the biggest thing was consistency. It was like, well, yeah, I mean, I guess I see it, but I don't make myself sit down and do it, you know? So it was like the consistency, I can't find the time. And so having talked to so many people who are like, I want to do it, but I'm not doing it, it really made me think about the current models out there for meditation, which is you can watch YouTube videos. There's plenty of streaming options, right? Like people who will even broadcast meditations you can sit in on. There's great apps. There's tons of great apps. But most people I've talked to who've downloaded apps, they're not using them. Well, why aren't they using them? They're not using them because there's no accountability. There's no community. There's no, you know, feeling like we're all human. A lot of us, you know, like the gym, like therapy, you know, it's like you want to have someone to talk things out with. You want to have someone there that's like holding you through it. Yeah. So I started, it's a virtual meditation studio. So it's all done via video conferencing. And it's done through, it's done in real time. So interactive streaming, I guess you could say, or virtual. Mm-hmm. And people log in. It's run like any fitness studio. So there's 3 or 4 classes a day, and people can log in, and they're really designed to be just short, sweet meditations. You know, 20 to 30 minutes. You get a dose of having someone lead you through meditation, supporting you through it, other people, community, in and out, and you've done your practice for the day.
Wow. Freaking brilliant.
Thanks.
I love it. So how do people get access to you and your program, and give us all the good stuff?
Sure. So if they go to theomlab.com, it's theomlab.com. You can sign up for classes there. There's just information about my service, different services that I offer. I'm actually prepping to launch a 28-day program to take someone from zero to meditation practice. So that's going to be something that's a little bit more self-paced. So if they go to theomlab.com and sign up for updates, there's a free 20-minute meditation on there that's video. So it's almost like you're sitting with me in a live course. And then if anybody wants to try a free class, they can definitely do that as well.
That's amazing. And all the information that she just said is going to be below her screen. I think it's going to be right there. You go. Point down there. Point. There it is. It's all going to be on there. Contact her. I mean, this is some really, really great stuff. Now, do you have any special giveaways? Do you any? I think you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to have someone come to a free class. If they sign up for a free class, just put the promo code Ernesto in there. All caps.
All caps.
So, and then of course there's the free video meditation that they can have sent to them as well. And then, I really encourage people to sign up for updates because there's a lot of really exciting stuff coming. I really want to help people to build the habit. I really want to help people to incorporate meditation, not just so that they can say they're meditating, but so they can be more conscious, be more aligned with what is your vision for your life? What's getting in the way? It's really a precursor to taking action in your life. So I'm really excited. I send out a newsletter once a week and I talk to people on social media. So I'd love to connect.
I love that. And I love the fact that you said access what's going on inside of here, because I'm all for hiring coaches. I'm all for that. But sometimes besides what your coach can offer you, your business coach can offer you, doing some meditation, you can actually be more present and be more aware of what they've said when you are not so chaotic within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think it starts there, you think?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of view it as like, did you ever play instruments? Did you play music?
I sing.
Okay, cool. Well, so a tuning fork, you're probably familiar with a tuning fork.
Yes.
So if you hit a tuning fork, it's vibrating. And I feel like that's kind of how we walk around the world. We're just like vibrating, and not in like a pause, like, oh, your vibration's so good. Like in this, like, oh, like help me. I can't stop, but I don't know how. And so I feel like meditation is like grounding the tuning fork. Wow. It just pauses it. You have a chance to just bring it in. And then from that place, from a place of gratitude, from a place of, even being open to whatever healing needs to happen. It's not about saying like, I'm a robot, I don't have feelings, but just being open, grounded, grateful, and, you can receive so much more.
Wow. Amazing stuff. I love that you're doing this, because I have also connected your program with my students, because I tried talking about mindfulness and meditation, failed. Because I think it's much more than that. I think I do practice it myself, but at the same time, I do believe that an expert needs to be talking about this. So hopefully they reach out to you and get a better idea of what mindfulness and meditation really actually looks like,
Yeah, it looks like so many things, and it's different for every person. So yeah, the practice and have them reach out. I'd love to connect.
Absolutely. Jessica, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Ernesto. It was so good. Love talking to you.
Yeah, so this is not going to be the end where I'm going to be inviting you. I think my community and those who are, on my FYLMIT.com Facebook group, I think we really, as mental health professionals, need to practice this. This is really vital.
Yeah. Well, people talk about it all the time, right? Like it's always like, oh, I ground myself, I do mindful practices, and it's such like it's in theory, right?
Right, it's a cliche. Everybody's saying it.
Are you really doing it?
No, that is so true. I think in order for someone to be mindful practitioners, they have to practice it themselves. That's just me.
Yeah, and it's a never-ending practice. That's the cool thing, or maybe the daunting thing about meditation. It never will end. There's always going to be unconscious things that like creep in. There's always going to be that lizard brain pulling you back. Yeah. We're just creating a new chapter. We're creating new chapters. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, once I have this boot camp launched, I would love for any of your students to go through it, and it's going to be a great way to support people. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. So for those of you who are listening, please get a hold of her, Jessica. And I think that she has a lot to offer. This creativity of bringing mindfulness and meditation online, virtual, in the comfort of your own home. I think this is going to be very valuable for you. Jessica, thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Have a great day.
Awesome. All right. This is Ernesto, licensed marriage and family therapist and creator of FYLMIT.com. Thank you so much for listening. Peace out.